My hands are trembling, my stomach has tied itself into knots. There's something in my throat that I just cannot seem to get rid of because today I am extremely nervous and more than a little bit scared. Why? Because today I have to test and try to explain to you what riding an Aprilia Tuono V4 1100 factory feels like. It's a motorcycle that I have dreamt of, lusted after, wanted to own, wanted to see, wanted to touch and feel for absolutely years, and today is that day. And it scares me because I've just realized that in the latest guise, it not only has the latest higher specification gear, it's also not physically much larger than a KTM 390 Duke, and in that small platform, it manages to pack in 175 horsepower. So I'm honestly really scared, but let's see how this goes.
It goes very, very well, thank you. The V4 sounds totally outrageous and we had to double check to ensure that it is completely stock. And it is. The baritone roar accompanies the Tuono's amazing performance all the time. Hold both the traction control paddle switches together in neutral and it will go into launch control mode, and after that it's child's play. Pick up the revs, any revs, dump the clutch and the motorcycle does all the work. 100 km per hour comes up in less than 3 seconds and top speed is just above 250 km per hour. What's even more impressive is the fact that the V4 makes staggering torque all the time. This makes riding the Tuono ridiculously easy. It will happily sit in 4th or 5th gear and do all the work for you. A light clutch and a small size means even crawling in jammed traffic is startlingly easy. No 175 PS motorcycle in my book should be this easy to handle.
The guys at Aprilia did not think that the old Tuono was mad enough. So they decided they needed a slightly bigger engine. So they bored it out a little bit. This is now a 1070cc engine. It makes 175 horsepower and that's still placed in a very light compact chassis. And that is a recipe for utter and complete madness. So what happens is whenever you open the gas, it just absolutely fires out like it's been shot out of a gun really, and it doesn't matter what revs you're doing, what gear you're in, it's just insane. And every time you think it couldn't possibly accelerate any harder, it does.
The Tuono's performance isn't the only surprise. I was surprised by how rough and angry the V4 sounds, but how smooth the throttle and the motorcycle feel to the hands, to the bum and to the legs as you ride it. I was expecting to be blown away by the wind blast that has to accompany the serious speeds a sport naked like this is capable of. Nope, wrong again. That little fairing does a remarkable job. I was even astonished to note that the initially low-feeling handlebar and a very sporty-looking seat both turn out to be excellent. The bars feel just right for the motorcycle in every riding situation, and the seat is actually extremely comfortable even hours into the ride. This is top draw performance. And wait, we haven't even spoken about the chassis yet.
Now I understand why someone would pay a lot of money to get top spec suspension, because that's exactly what this motorcycle has, and from Öhlins no less. The sense of, the motorcycle just knows what needs to be done when a bump arrives, how to track it, how the wheel goes over it, and how to ensure that the rubber is in contact with the ground. And that gives you a sense of precision and control that I have never experienced before. So I've cornered this thing today on good roads, intermediate roads, bad roads, hard, and it just goes through everything so calmly that you can go so fast, so confidently. Of course, it's not just the suspension and the tires, it's also the fact that this thing has a very well-developed set of electronics. But I'm a believer. If I was spending a lot of money to do anything to one of my personal motorcycles, I would be going straight for the suspension.
So outstanding is that sense of control thanks to the suspension that you forget your fear of performance and start riding with confidence. And confidence when it comes to riding a motorcycle is worth its weight in gold. The Tuono makes riding extremely involving, but I was surprised at how small a role fear plays in this mix. The Tuono's capability, when juxtaposed with how friendly and easygoing it is to ride, is just incredible. Before I rode it, I couldn't even imagine that this kind of a blend was actually possible.
So how do you make a motorcycle this small and still give it 175 PS and expect riders to ride it? Yes, you have to bring in a lot of electronics, and this thing is packed with the absolute best. Because honestly, for the longest time, I couldn't tell what the electronics were doing, and it's only when you start switching it off do you realize how much it has been saving your behind. So what have we got here? The easiest systems I can talk about: 3 levels of ABS, 8 levels of traction control. I was starting at 8, which is the most intuitive and even got to me. I've been riding at 4 and 5. I think 1 turns you into a hero. You can turn it entirely off if you like. The other feature I really enjoyed using is its ability to change how much engine braking happens. That means when I close the gas, the motorcycle will normally do that, a big engine like this, very strongly. But what this Aprilia can do is supply a little bit more fuel and take the load off, and it allows the motorcycle to feel lighter in response. And honestly, it's at the lightest setting right now, and it feels no different in engine braking from a 400cc, 350cc kind of motorcycle today. So now comes the hard part, because the show is nearly over, and that means that wonderful motorcycle now has to go back to the manufacturer. Something that I desperately do not want to do, because in 15 years of road testing, I have never seen a motorcycle this kind of impressive. To be honest with you, I've been getting teary-eyed inside the helmet. I've been sobbing quietly because I desperately want this thing to go to my garage and not to the manufacturer. But at 20 lakh rupees plus, it's not going to happen. But if you can afford it, don't think about it. That's the one.